What's good everyone, my name is Chefkoch and today I want to talk about what happened to funk music and its inevitable downfall. First of all, we of course need to explain what funk actually is and where it came from. The term funk was founded by underground veteran Space Ghost Perp in the early 2010s who wanted to modernize the word funk in reference to the G-funk genre from the 90s. So SGB created the slang funk, which would become a common buzzword for his records, like you can see on Pheel The Phonk 1990 for example. Okay, so now we know why funk is spelled that way, but what does it actually sound like? Funk blends old school Memphis rap, most notably from artists like Tommy Wright III, DJ Spanish Fly or the 3-6 Mafia Collective, together with more modern sonorities like trap for example. The genre usually features slowed down or distorted samples from Memphis rap tapes for the vocals, heavy bass lines for the chill but dark atmosphere, and jazz or funk samples for the melody. Therefore, the legendary DJ Screw from Houston was a big influence on funk as well with his Chopped and Screwed records, because the OG funk music usually had a laid back, almost lo-fi atmosphere due to pitch down or slowed down vocals and instruments. The original sonority from funk was dark and menacing with lyrical themes including violence, drugs and overall criminal lifestyles, but evolved over the years to a more laid back and chill soundscape, and nowadays funk has so many subgenres that it includes a lot of different sonorities and aesthetics. The initial uniqueness and success of the OG funk scene with artists like Space Ghost Perp, Lil Ugly Mane or DJ Smokey led to more and more artists like the Suicide Boys or Xavier Wolf hopping onto the funk wave. At first this was still very organic and enjoyable. Due to the internet playing a major role in the evolution and popularity of funk music, even producers from Europe could gain some traction with their Memphis influenced records, and beatmakers like Soudier or DJ Young Vamp became a part of the funk culture because the music was their passion, and they actually learned about the history of funk in Memphis rap. In the mid-2010s, funk was thriving in the underground with collectors like Purple Posse or Holy Mob, because at that time collaborations and collectors were essential to achieve success, and new subgenres like rare funk or R&B funk were emerging. And then in the late 2010s, funk started to go viral on social media, catapulting the genre into the mainstream. Especially Freddie Dredd made the genre popular worldwide due to his songs that went viral on TikTok, and this initiated the peak of funk's popularity. But at that time this was a positive thing. The Doom Shop soundscape by Freddie and his peers actually influenced a lot of listeners to dive deeper into the history and roots of funk music, and the genre gained a die-hard fanbase, especially in Russia and Ukraine, so funk was at its cultural high point. But a major shift to the soundscape and aesthetic of the genre came with the rise of drift funk in 2020. It was basically background music for JDM and Touge drifting videos or other pieces of media by the online automobile culture, especially from Eastern Europe. Drift funk was very fast-paced, 160 BPM or more, and way more energetic than OG funk due to the focus on dark instrumentals with heavy use of the 808 cowbells. Something that has been present in Memphis rap since the 90s with Tommy Wright for example, but this time the cowbells became the key element of each drift funk record, and the subgenre started using more and more EDM instruments as well. With the swift rise in popularity due to TikTok car videos, TikTok Sigma grindset memes, I can't believe I just said it out loud, and the already existing diehard fanbase, drift funk became a viral subgenre and established a general public's definition of funk. A big misconception that will become lethal for all other funk subgenres. And when the official Spotify editorial playlist for funk was launched in 2021, it was being flooded with drift funk, thereby completely ignoring the OG funk wave and adding to the mislabeling of the subgenre. Funk now had institutional support from the biggest streaming platform in the modern world, and this playlist brought in huge numbers of streams for any featured artist due to accumulating over 9 million saves. Sadly, 87 from the 100 songs included in the playlist in 2021 were just from one funk subgenre, and it doesn't look better today either. So this just led to the over-commercialization of drift funk and did more harm than good, because what a lot of people didn't know and what Spotify failed to explain was that drift funk is not synonymous with funk, it's just a subgenre of it. But due to the constant mislabeling and huge commercialization, funk's downfall was beginning. Like it regularly happens when something underground becomes mainstream, either it develops into something new or it gets played out, and with funk kind of both happened. As another example, some of you watching this video right now might remember the golden days of cloud rap in the early to mid 2010s when the genre was dominating every corner of the internet, but also a genre as big and influential as cloud rap sadly was not able to keep its original hype. In the late 2010s it became way too commercial and overused. Everyone was trying to be a cloud rapper and the genre started to lose its uniqueness and originality until it finally perished back into the underground. And with funk we can currently witness a similar effect happening. The OG soundscape is not visible at all anymore. Since 2021, funk even includes a lot of EDM elements, so it basically transformed into house music and everything revolves around getting a playlist placement or a new TikTok hit. I'm aware that this is a very common practice in all of hip hop, but when an entire genre gets revolutionized that way, it leaves big marks, especially because funk always was about collaborations and collectives. But nowadays it's mainly solo artists without any cultural knowledge trying to make a quick cash grab. Obviously you can imagine that fans of the OG funk soundscape were not very happy that the genre was transforming into a hyperactive EDM influenced sonority used for Sigma male TikTok content, and due to the genericness and nuisance of many drift funk tracks, many casual listeners started hating on the entire funk wave without knowing that it was just one or two subgenres that were annoying. But this still caused a lot of damage to the entire funk scene and just accelerated its downfall. Of course there are still producers who make OG funk influenced records to this day, and there is still an active community that appreciates the classics, but overall drift and EDM funk are way more visible in the industry. Another recent problem for funk is the global rise in popularity of a music genre titled Brazilian funk, also known as baile funk or favela funk. Now baile funk is an amazing genre which exists since the 1980s. It is deeply embedded into Brazilian hip hop and dance music. It includes electronic and bass heavy beats over vocal samples, and it had zero association with funk music until this song dropped. Now everybody calls it Brazilian funk, despite its lack of common features with actual funk music. Yet the spelling mistake is a real problem because it further mislabels funk music. I guess since both baile funk and funk are hip hop subgenres that like to use vocal samples, some producers found a way to merge both genres together. So now we have baile funk with funk percussions being used for brainrot reddits, but it's not really for me and it has nothing to do with original funk music anyway. With that we arrived in present day, so now let's summarize the problems the funk genre is facing. Number 1. Drift funk and Brazilian funk wrongfully established the definition for funk in the mainstream. After the global success and virality on TikTok, people just became obsessed with the buzzword funk, which already was synonymous with drift funk. Therefore everything that had cowbells in it automatically became funk and the other subgenres vanished. Number 2. Important outlets like the Spotify editorial playlist failed to educate the listeners about funk's history, making it way harder for new fans to discover the origins of the genre, which also means that the inspirations for new artists were very limited since they needed to work with cowbells or EDM elements to go viral. Number 3. The over-commercialization is destroying funk's quality. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. If you make songs strictly for money, you will neglect the art behind the music. And number 4. Funk has lost the authenticity that made the genre resonate with its fanbase, which is a quote from Chefkoch's video about funk's downfall, with which I 100% agree. But who is at fault for this downfall? On the one hand, of course, the artists who purposefully mislabeled their records and evolved funk into the hellhole it is today, but somehow also the listeners who don't even know the history and origins of their favorite subgenre and constantly make the worst Sigma funk stuff go viral. But the majority of the modern funk audience is still very young and discovered the genre through TikTok edits, so the downfall is not really their fault. We also need to hold the labels and streaming services accountable who profit the most financially from funk. A lot of the artists that went viral in recent years are signed to Black 17 Media, Broke Records or Tribal Trap. So these companies are also responsible for the qualitative regression of the genre, since they're just milking it for maximum profits. I probably come off as just a hater of modern funk in this video, you know, the classic old head like back in my day music was so much better, and I agree, I very much prefer rare funk or old school Memphis and Houston hip hop over the current trends. But it is totally fine if you like drift funk or funk house, I'm not judging you, I just wish that you'd give the OG funk artists a chance as well if you haven't yet. Some of my favorites are on the screen right now, please show them some love, because without them funk wouldn't even really exist. Yet in my opinion the current agonizing state of funk is not eternal, there's still hope because the funk house and baile funk hype will die down again and eventually funk will go back to its roots in the underground, and as soon as it doesn't have huge commercial success anymore, then actual musical talent will be in demand again, and funk can have its renaissance. This juxtaposition with the Renaissance era actually is very accurate now that I think about it, since the Renaissance marked a cultural rebirth at the close of the Middle Ages and rise of the modern world. characterized by an effort to revive and surpass the ideas and achievements of classical antiquity. And in the same way, funk needs to find its roots again, and the listeners need to be educated on the rich history of their favorite genre, so that the community can fix the mislabeling issues of funk music, because then people will actually know what funk is and where it came from. As a conclusion, the evolution/regression of funk music definitely is an interesting phenomenon. I hope that it will serve as a bad example for what happens when you disconnect a genre too much from its roots and only focus on virality and monetization. And my prediction is that the current funk soundscape will fall off in the years to come, so that OG funk, or at least modern funk with OG influences, can have its renaissance. Because for something to be reborn, that same thing needs to die first. The qualitative downfall is happening either way, but if there can be an actual funk revival is yet unclear. That lies in the hands of the funk artists and listeners. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can hit 800 subscribers. Cheers!